Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list is the continuation of last week where we're doing my top expensive notes. I pulled out a total of 33 notes and we're running down the list from least expensive to most expensive. Last week we covered 3 honorable mentions and then notes 30 through 21. This week we are going with number 20 through number 11. So, let's get on with it. Number 20. This is the 1935A experimental note, the silver certificate from 1935A. This one you can see is graded 64 EPQ. What is this? This is the R note. They did an experiment in 1935 with the experimenting with the coding that they use on money, trying to make it easier to print. They printed roughly 1 million notes with an R and roughly 1 million notes with the S. The S note was the special coding, the R note was the regular coding, which means this note right here is no different than any other silver certificate in circulation, with the exception of the red R. What does that mean? Everybody knew this was a regular note. So everybody wanted to save the S note, the special note. Nobody cared about the R note because that was the regular note, which means there aren't as many of these around. The R note, the regular note, is actually the more scarce note in the collection, and in higher grades is going to be the more expensive note. You saw the S note last week. The R note, take a peek at the back real quick. Exceptional paper quality. You can see really good note. This particular note, like I said, is number 20 for this week. The S note was $550. The R note, same grade, $725. So that's where we're starting this week. Number 20, $725 for the R note. All right, number 19. I had recently filmed this one for one of my weekly strap searches. This is a $10 small size note from 1928, and as you can see there's 1928, but you know that because it has the number instead of the letter for the Federal Reserve Bank. It would be Atlanta, Georgia. You can see Atlanta, Georgia there. 6 is the district number, so it's got all that, and it has the F for the alpha portion of the alphanumeric to start off the serial numbers. However, they did not print very many star notes when they did do these. The star notes were also the first batch printed. So now you're talking about the first year small size note, and you're talking the first batch of notes printed, this one number 19,682, because it was a star. They had to have the stars ready before they did the regular print runs, because if there was a problem with the regular print runs, they would then insert the stars. That made these extremely tough to come by, or I should say that they were very rare, and there was only, I think 6 million of these, not stars, 6 million notes from Atlanta printed, and only some of those were stars. So that's what makes these extremely tough to come by. People didn't think much of the stars, so they didn't save them, and there weren't that many to begin with. So what does that mean for this particular note? This note here, this star note, books out at $750. Who would have thunk it? That's number 19. Number 18. One of the more fun notes in my collection, this is the $10 1880 legal tender, graded 25, $10 silver certificate. That's Daniel Webster right there. And I forgot which one this was. But this particular note is known as the Jackass note. Now, nowhere does it say Jackass up here. This one is graded 25, very fine. The thing that makes it the Jackass note is right here, this eagle. If you look at that eagle, it looks like a really cool eagle, but the second you take that and rotate it, it becomes a donkey. You can see the white muzzle, the eye, the ear, the mane. That's a donkey. Donkeys, otherwise known as jackass notes, or jackasses. So this was the Jackass note. Take a look at the back of this one. Just a cool image on the back. One of this fold here actually split all the way to here, so they noted that The note is split, and you can see it right there. That's fine. I don't care. I went out and got this note as soon as I heard about it, and then eventually sent it off to get graded, and I think I did pretty good. I think I paid like 400 bucks for this note. Went and got it graded. What did it grade at? Let me look here, because this is about my highest valued notes. This one, 1880 $10. Did I say silver certificate? I think I did. $10 legal tender. This one books out in VF20 is $825. In EF40 it's $1350. This one's a 25, so it's more than that $825. I put it at about $900. So that one is number 18. Number 17. Here is a Brownback, $20 Brownback. This one's from Decatur, Illinois. It's national currency from the second charter period. Graded a 20. That is the Battle of Lexington that's depicted there. Brownbacks are cool because they've got the charter number here. They incorporate the charter number in the border, numerous places. The entire back is the charter number. This is called the Brownback because of the brown ink used on the back. Very cool looking note. The U.S. on this side and whatever state or territory on this side. That would be the seal for Illinois. You can see here it does say Illinois right there on the top. The Brownback, $20 Brownback from Decatur, Illinois. Cool note to have. Got this one graded a 20. That makes it very easy to price. This one, number 17 on the list. And number 17 books out at $950 for this particular note. That one is number 17. And if you're wondering why I keep struggling, it's because I wrote down my notes and then I put down their price and then I had to put them in order, and I wasn't going to rewrite all of that just so I could do this. So bear with me while I look. Anyway, that was number 20, 19, 18, number 17. Number 16. One of my favorites, $1 1869 legal tender, the Rainbow Note. $1 Rainbow Note from 1869. Very cool note. This one happens to be graded 25. You have the blue that fades into the green with the red seal and the black ink, not to mention the green on the back. One of the more colorful notes, one of the more colorful series. Only the 1869 series has the rainbow pattern. This design was used all the way up to 1917, just without the rainbow. It does have a star, but it is not a star note. All of the notes at this particular point in time had stars on them. It was just part of the design. 1869, $1 legal tender. There's the back of it. It is listed as stained. Some of you may be surprised to see how dirty and how creased the note is, and it's still got a 25. That just lets you know how tough or how not tough they are on grading particular notes. This one has very good eye appeal, and even with those creases, that's a surprisingly good grade. Anyway, the 1869 $1 legal tender, this one is number 16 on the list, and this one books out, let's see, in a VF20 is $825, in an XF40 it's $2,000. So this one is somewhere between $900 and $1,000 with those parameters in a 25. So that one is number 16. Number 15. Here is the 1862 $2 legal tender. This one's graded 15. It's graded 15 net, and we'll get to that in a minute. It has great eye appeal. I've seen notes in a lot worse condition sell for a lot more. So this one, I had to get this when I saw how the eye appeal was. And what I mean is, I'm not worried about, it says repaired here. The repair is, first of all, unnoticeable. I don't know what the repair actually was, but I'm going to guess that the note was probably cleaned. And that's why it has such good eye appeal. That's fine with me, because the note was going to grade 15 anyway. So if I can have a 15 that's clean, easy to look at, that's great. I will take that. So the note was most likely cleaned and pressed. That's why it graded as low as it did. The $2 1862. Now this is the first year that the federal government actually printed money. It was 1862 legal tender series. They printed a 1, they printed a 2, and you can see the 2 highlighted here, And they did put a 3 here, but they never printed the 3s, so you're not going to see any of those out there. So this one, take a look at the back once again. Very cool note, number 15 on my list. This one is going to come out at $1,000. In an F12, it's $775, and in a 20, it's $1,350. So I put it at $1,000 just to play it safe. That's number 15. Number 14. This is a $5 silver certificate from 1923, graded 20, very fine. This is the porthole note. $5 porthole note featuring Abraham Lincoln in that center circle like that. The note didn't do much for me when I first saw it, but then I heard the story on how people hated this note because they thought this looked like a gun sight, especially when you'd get notes that were worn and people would fold them in half and in half again. You'd get the crosshairs there, and people just did not like that at all. That's when I heard that portion of the story, that's kind of when I got it. Not that I have anything against Lincoln, I just didn't think the story is interesting that people found that offensive, that you would end up with Lincoln in the crosshairs just from folding your note. The $5 1923 silver certificate, mine has a little bit of rust on there, no big deal. Unfortunately, the rust is in a very interesting place. Big blue number, big blue digit with the big blue seal. Very cool note. This one books out at, where is it on here? 1923 $5 silver certificate, books out at $1,100 in a grade 20. That one is number 14. Number 14, and we're at $1,100. Number 13. Check this out. Series of 1928. You guys have heard me tell the story of the 1928 series. Star notes. I have the 10 in this series already, and this one is the 50. This one is from San Francisco, so you've got the 12 in there. That's cool. They wedged 2 numbers in there. The gigantic filled-in stars on this particular note, and not considered a low number by fancy serial number standards, but it is number 3,153. So, I mean, that's a fairly low number. They did not make that many of these notes. These have the familiar back. We've all seen this before. But what people don't realize is how expensive these star notes are. 50 is the denomination that's one of the hardest to get because they simply don't print that many 50s. That's true today. They just don't make a lot of them. There's not a whole lot of use for 50s, but they still had to print them, and they had to make the star notes as well. And the star note here, this particular one, number 13, the $50 FRN. Book on this is $1,250, $1,250 on this star note in this condition. That's just crazy. That's number 13. Number 12. Number 12, we are going with my 1862 $1 legal tender. This one grades a little bit better than the 2. This one grades out at 35 EPQ. That's always cool. You can see here how the 1 is highlighted, where the other one had the 2 highlighted. This one features Salmon P. Chase. And just a really cool note. You got Spinner's signature on there. Taking a look at the back. Such intricate detail in those swirls. I've got a couple of counterfeits of these, and they just blur. So to be able to see the swirls like they're supposed to be, it's pretty impressive. This particular note, the 1862 $1 legal tender, this one is number 12 on my list. And at number 12, that's going to put the book on this one at about, well, let's see, VF20 is $750, and a 40, it's $1,500. It's a 35 EPQ, so it's pretty close to that 1,500, but I think I put it down at 1,400. Yep, 1,400 is the value on this particular one. That is number 12. And finally, number 11 this week, from 1901. It is the $10 legal tender, the Bison note, also known as the Lewis and Clark note, featuring Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. And I forgot the name of the Bison. I want to say it's Black Diamond, but it's not. This was Pablo, if I remember correctly. Black Diamond, I believe, is the buffalo that is on the buffalo nickel. This is the Bison, not the buffalo, and this, I want to say, is Pablo. Anyway, this was the idea was for this to be a commemorative, the 100-year commemorative of Lewis and Clark. That's why it was the 1901 from their 1801 exploration, if I recall correctly. Very cool note. The bison with the red seals on either side, especially if you get these in fairly good condition, the red just pops. Looking at the back, huge white areas so that you were able to make out the red and blue fibers. You can see there's a red fiber, blue fibers there. Even in a lesser condition note, you can still see those fibers. That was the whole point. Graded 20, the 1901 $10 legal tender, number 11 on my list. That one books out at, let's see, this one is about $1,400 as well. That is the next group. Tune in next week for numbers 10 through 1. If you learned anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.